Every time Mars goes retrograde, the same three things happen. The project you were finally about to launch stalls out of nowhere. An old argument you thought was long settled reopens with someone, and your usual drive to just push through and get it done quietly disappears. Most people call this bad luck and wait it out. It isn't bad luck. It's the one stretch of the year that forces you to stop moving long enough to check whether you were even aiming at the right thing. For the rest of the year, Mars runs mostly on autopilot. You see a problem, you react, you push, you charge at the next thing before you've fully processed the last one. That forward momentum feels like progress because it's constant. Nobody stops to ask whether the direction is right, because stopping feels like losing ground. You mistake speed for certainty and reacting fast for actually being decisive. Mars retrograde is the moment that autopilot gets switched off on purpose. The project doesn't stall randomly. It stalls because it was built on an assumption nobody checked, and now there's finally time to notice. The old argument doesn't reopen to torture you. It reopens because it was never actually resolved, just outrun, and the person on the other end remembers exactly where you left off even if you don't. The drive doesn't vanish to punish you. It turns inward because the energy is needed for reviewing, not charging. Every retrograde, the same unfinished business comes due, and most people spend the whole transit fighting to get their old speed back instead of asking what the pause is actually for. Be honest. What stalled out on you recently that you're calling bad timing? And what would you find if you actually looked at why it stalled? Shadow work here doesn't start with forcing your way back to full speed. It starts with treating the stall as information instead of an obstacle. If a project froze, ask what assumption it was quietly resting on that you never actually tested. If an old conflict resurfaced, ask what you did to end it the first time. Did you resolve it? Or just leave the room faster than the other person could keep arguing? The practice is deliberately unglamorous. Before you push forward on anything during this window, spend real time revising instead of launching. Reread the plan you were about to execute, and ask what you'd change if you were starting today. Reach out to the person from the old argument, and finish the sentence you cut short the first time, even if it's uncomfortable. You're not trying to stop moving forever. You're trying to make sure the next push is actually aimed somewhere real. Think of the man who'd been pushing to launch his business for 3 months straight, working nights, ignoring how exhausted he was, sure that speed was the only thing standing between him and success. The week Mars turned retrograde, his main supplier fell through with no warning. Furious, he almost signed with the first replacement he found just to keep moving. Instead, he forced himself to actually read the numbers he'd been too busy to check, and found the whole pricing model didn't work at the volume he'd planned. The stall that felt like a disaster saved him from launching a business that would have failed in month 2. That's what the transit is actually for. Mars retrograde doesn't create the flawed plan or the unfinished fight. It just makes it impossible to keep outrunning them for a few weeks. Once you stop treating every stall as an emergency and start treating it as a chance to check your aim, the frustration loses its grip. You stop repeating the same failed push in a new direction because you finally fixed what was actually broken instead of just running at it harder. If any of this just explained a stall you've been fighting, stay close. We're going planet by planet through every transit astrology taught you to fear instead of understand, all through this shadow work series. The full guide to tracking your own Mars retrograde dates and what to actually do during them is linked in the description. Go find out what your next push should really be aimed at.